Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Trending in the AM right here on DSM Media. Eagles, Vikings break down. The Eagles dominate Minnesota and Kirk Cousins from opening kick to final whistle. Jalen Hurts has the best game in an Eagles uniform in his career. Darius Slay locks up Justin Jefferson. That and much, much more when we are back in 30 seconds.
Gets around in front. Joel Embiid, and Philadelphia has it.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Trending in the AM live on DSM Media's Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook channel. Guys, if you're new to the channel, head on over to @DSM_media on Twitter. Hit that follow button. We greatly appreciate it. And while you're on the page, check out the link tree. It's in our bio. It'll take you to every social media platform we are available on. If you guys want to be interactive on today's show, head on over to the Facebook or more specifically the YouTube channel. That's where we can pull up your thoughts, comments, questions, concerns, thoughts on the Eagles dominating victory last night at home in the home opener against the Minnesota Vikings. We'll have a fun morning. It's not a victory Monday. It's not an overreaction Monday. This is a victory Tuesday, an overreaction Tuesday, because I am Sky. Hi, I am still filling in for Phil Stifle. He will return right here on DSM Media Thursday morning. I'm in today, tomorrow. Kyle, what's going on, man? Go Birds. What an exciting night in South Philly. And that was the biggest thing. So I am your host, Dylan Davis today. You can find me on Twitter at DylanJD98. My man, Scotty, the host of Scotty Talks NBA, and my co-host on Eagles DSM pregame live for the Eagles games and NFL Turf Talk will be joining me in just a few moments, I believe. But with that being said, let's kind of get right into last night's game, guys, because there were so many positives. And speaking of positives, here's another one to brighten your morning. So many positive himself. Optimistic Scotty. My man, check him out on Twitter at Scotty Drown. Brother, happy Victory Tuesday to you.
Yes, good morning, man. Sorry, I had the show on while you pulled me up there. So
no worries. I appreciate that. We appreciate the view, man.
Had to see what you were saying when I was brushing my teeth, but
there you go.
No, good morning. Victory Tuesday. Best Eagles game I've seen in quite a while. And it was fun to be able to talk about it right before and then see everything we talked about play out right before our eyes. So that was kind of the best part.
And more so, like, I know for myself, at least on the pregame show, I still had, like, I thought I predicted the Eagles to win, but I thought it would be maybe not messy offensively, but defense, there would be some struggles. So let's dive right into it, man. You mentioned it. It was the best and most fun, the most electric Eagles game I've watched from start to finish in a very long time. You would have to, Scotty, I'm being serious.
Yeah.
I mean, you had the Saints game last year at home that kind of really pushed them towards the playoffs, but you were playing Trevor Siemian and Taysom Hill in that game. That this Minnesota Vikings team is a lot better than that New Orleans Saints team was. And then you'd have to go back to 2019 during that final playoff run in the final 4 weeks, somewhere along that season for a game to feel like this. And we have a lot to talk about because defensively, they did just about, if not everything, correct. And offensively, obviously, neither team scored in the second half, but you just felt like the Eagles never lost control. There was never, even when the Vikings were driving before Kirk Cousins threw any of those interceptions, you just felt okay. You didn't have a concern that the defense was gonna blow a gasket in this one. But I want to start on the offensive side of the ball. And I want to start with number one, and I want to start with QB1 and being Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts, I was looking for him to show me something, to take another step or a leap, so to speak, in his progression as a passer on a primetime stage in what I called the biggest game of his career heading into last night up to that point. Yeah. Jalen Hurts not only showed me something, Jalen Hurts completely and utterly earned my 110% 100% respect last night and faith in him. If Jalen, let me put it this way, Scotty, if Jalen Hurts plays like that, the Eagles can play with anybody. Let me repeat that. If Jalen Hurts plays like that, the Eagles can play with anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody. Forget about it. He was that good. I mean, my God, dude, from the opening drive, the first drive went perfectly scripted. He was on the game, he was 26 of 31, 333 passing yards, a bomb of a dot to Quez Watkins down the seam for a passing touchdown, 11 carries, 57 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, one of which I don't know if I've ever seen a quarterback score on a play. Scotty, he was dead in the water at the 15-yard line. He cuts it back, gets contact around the 8, and carries 2 guys into the end zone. The kid was absolutely electric last night. I'll throw this to you in a second. Like, we watched what Tua did yesterday, and not myself, but a lot of people were like, man, I need to see Jalen. Jalen Hurts didn't throw for 470 yards and 6 passing touchdowns, but Jalen Hurts put up just as dominating of a performance as any quarterback could have last night. That's how good he was. Did he use his legs? Yes. He scored 2 rushing touchdowns. But my God, Scotty, the kid hung around in the pocket. The kid delivered a couple strikes with pressure in his mitt. He threw a couple strikes on the run outside the pocket, keeping these down the field. When he escaped pressure, he didn't tuck it and run. He kept his eyes down the field. That one ball that got called back for ineligible man downfield, which happened 19 times last night, by the way, to Quez Watkins down the sideline, was one of the best throws you'll ever see. So Jalen Hurts not only showed up, but he showed up and showed out in a big way. And like, when I tell you, maybe this is my overreaction Tuesday statement, but I am all aboard, full go for the time being. Let's ride. Not Broncos country, but let's ride, Scotty.
Yeah, man. He showed all the tools last night, and he put it on full display. I mean, a borderline perfect game on top of that. I mean, even the interception wasn't his fault. That was more Gainwell's fault, just throwing his hands up in the air. Yeah. So, like, borderline.
I hated the play call. I'll throw that out there, but
it was in that tight of a spot. It was a very bad play call right there. But then the defense held tight. But nonetheless, Jalen Hurts, man, spreading the ball around. You have four receivers over 60 yards last night. 4 receivers over, well, I guess Quez only had 2 targets. Excuse me. 3 receivers over 6 targets each with Goddard, Smitty, and AJ. You talk about Goddard. He was impressive last night. I mean, the whole team was on the money last night. And you talk about Hurts' rushing touchdown. Those don't bother me when it comes to using his legs. That's what makes him dynamic. That's the part where you want him to use his legs once you get in that 20-yard line. And both of those touchdowns, he just outmuscled the entire defense. Like, once he gets to like the 2-yard line, good luck stopping him, because he fucking squats 600 pounds. Like, the dude is just he's strong, and it was very like Cam Newton-esque where he was like driving himself into the end zone. Even Josh Allen-esque, like the fact that most quarterbacks would have just went out of bounds. He fakes out of bounds, switches back in, and then spins around. Spins around into the end zone. Like, very Josh Allen, like, with his ability where once you get into that 30, 20-yard line, we talked about it last night. He's a danger. He can get in the end zone at any time. And it's just funny how Harrison Smith was talking that stuff. I told you what he said before the game last night.
Don't do it, man.
Jalen Hurts, he made him eat his words, man. I mean, that was the last thing you need to do is motivate this team. These are a bunch of guys.
Don't add fuel, bro.
Exactly. AJ comes from the Titans where he feels he was disrespected. Jalen Hurts, of course, has a chip on his shoulder. Smitty, it's too small. It goes down the line. Miles Sanders had a game again. This guy looks fresh.
Quietly, Miles Sanders, really good game.
Quietly earning a little bit of a chance at a contract extension. I'm not going to lie to you. He looks really good. And if he can, you got to stay healthy. That's the main thing. But he looks really good. It was beautiful, man. But Jalen Hurts, to back your point, what? 5 incompletions last night, 26
Yeah,
for
man.
31. That was a
I
big thing
believe it,
from week 1.
80%. 80%.
Completions. I mean,
My God.
333 yards. He went up over the 300-yard mark,
Scotty,
man. That's exactly. It's not
listen,
that we need to see that, but that is such a plus to see that this early on in the season.
100% against a good team, against a defense that I get it. Aaron Rodgers, week 1, then post Devontae Adams, you held Aaron Rodgers to 7 points. This is that same team. So keep that same energy. Like, I
Yeah.
bumped Minnesota up into my top 10. A lot of people did. Oh my God, Minnesota's going to win the North, blah, 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 blah. And now it's like the Eagles handled them with ease, and the Eagles had it easy on Monday night all of a sudden, right? But to your Jalen Hurts point, Scott, like we say it all the time, show me something, take a step, progress. Scotty,
Yeah.
when you play like that, you didn't just show me something. You did something I never thought you could do with your arm.
Yeah.
Like that it was like almost otherworldly to me specifically last night, because I had never seen him do something like that through the air. Yes,
It
he
was
had
his
success on the
This
ground,
is the best
but
game I've
man,
ever seen
he
from him. Yeah.
110
Easily.
freaking percent. He was on the money from the opening drive, dude. He was laser focused. And you talk about that opening drive, that's what's so beautiful. Listen, so I like deferring. I like getting the ball to start the second half. I get that. But when your offense can start the game with the ball and march down the field on a perfectly scripted first drive and get that momentum going and get the crowd into it and put up 7 on the board right away, that sets the tempo for the entire game. Like, their drives were so beautiful in the first half. So you had the first, like I just said, you had the first drive that was perfectly scripted, right down 7-0, set the tempo. You had the bomb to Quez down the seam, which I love taking the shot. Blown coverage in the secondary. Quez got up to like 22 miles per hour on next gen stats for speed on that one. Jalen doesn't slow him down, hits him in stride. Boom, tutty, right? You had the angry run we already talked about. And then we had you get the ball back in the 2-minute drill, under 2 minutes left on your own 5-yard line. And he marches them down to like the 35 or to the 25 for like a chip shot last second field goal to add on to the lead heading into half. That's a huge drive right there.
That looked like one of those moments where Sirianni and Jalen Hurts, it was pure domination. And they look at the Vikings, they're like, oh, you're gonna give us this? And they just drive down the field, man. And you know, a little bit more time, they might have scored a goddamn touchdown.
And there were so many chunk plays as well, man. For sure, there were so many chunk plays. And I loved your point. I had that in my notes. I didn't hit on it at first, but it's another thing. It's something people ask for all week. Well, I want to see him spread the ball around. Don't force it.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm pretty sure he did that last night. And everything, like I said, was in that intermediate to somewhat deep kind of stuff. And when he had to, Scotty, he checked the ball down. Guess what? 3rd and 14. I ain't got nothing. I'm not forcing one into a tight window. Miles Sanders, get 5. We'll get off the field. I trust our defense.
Yep.
It was a thing of beauty. And you brought up Miles Sanders a little bit earlier, and you talked about maybe earning a contract extension. I'll tell you what I find interesting and something that I liked so far through the first 2 weeks. Now, from a guy who had Kenny Gainwell 15+ rushing yards, I didn't like the 2 carries last night. However, look at the splits. Miles Sanders, 17. Kenny Gainwell, 2. Boston Scott, 4. That's something we didn't see last year. You saw a steady dose of rotation, drive after drive after drive. You got a heavy dose of Miles Sanders, and one of the others would come in to spell him for a play or 2 here and there.
Yeah.
That's trust in your running back. They didn't have that trust in Miles Sanders this time last year. I don't know what's changed. I don't know what they've seen throughout the week. But clearly, that disparity in touches tells you they trust Miles Sanders, and he's averaging over 4.5 yards a carry to start the season if he's not averaging over 5. So he looks really good, hitting holes quickly, creating when stuff's not there. Miles Sanders, A+. And like you said, when you talk about
5.9 yards per carry.
I mean, my God, man. And when you talk about the receiving core, Dallas Goedert, 5 for 82. Devontae Smith, 7 for 80. A.J. Brown, 5 for 69. Quez, only 2 for 69 with the big touchdown. Zach Pascal had a big 3rd down pickup. That was another thing that I loved, man. How many times did you get 3rd and intermediates, 3rd and shorts? He moves the pocket, keeps his eyes down the field, and finds someone on the outside to move the sticks. Scotty, he was lights out last night. I can't wait for week 3 because in the back of my mind throughout the last year and these 2 weeks, it's like, okay, I'm confident in the offense. I know there's something there, but there's just a sliver in the back of my mind that's like, I still don't buy it yet.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's for the time being, at least for this week, that's out the window. I am ready for Washington. I'm ready to see this kid in this offense ball out again.
Yeah, I don't think you can say much more than that. I mean, perfect game from Jalen Hurts, perfect game from play calling standpoint. Aside from that screen, all the ineligible receivers downfield, that shit was annoying.
Man.
They got to clean that up.
Yeah.
But aside from all of that, I mean, just a pure dominating game from the offensive standpoint and the defensive standpoint that we didn't get to yet.
Great segue.
Just want to give that credit to Jalen Hurts. I know we've been tough on him on Turf Talk, or we've been tough on him in Philly, and it's paying off. He's shown the type of personality that works in this city and the type of leadership that works. And that hard work is paying off, man. His mechanics look better. A lot of those throws, in tight spots, man. He's throwing darts in those intermediate routes, and that's beautiful to see.
100%.
Even the pass that Goddard didn't catch.
Goddard,
which
yeah.
I did want to say,
the best start of the night.
Catch that. You know what I mean? If you want to get to that next level, Goddard, you got to catch that. It's not like a huge drop. I won't say that, but
almost was
it's
a pick.
something you got. It could have been bigger if the Eagles weren't purely dominating, but got to catch that, and that was probably the best throw of the night. I mean, that was on the money.
That or like I said, the ineligible man downfield when he rolls out to his left and throws a 40-yard dot to the sideline to Quez.
Yeah, to
like
Quez.
those two passes weren't completions. Imagine if those two were completed. I mean, you're talking about a higher completion percentage and probably closer to 400 yards passing. Like that. That's how great. I'll use the word, not good, how great he was last night. It's as good as a quarterback anybody could have played. I'll throw this to you, Scotty. From now I know Wentz had like that 4-game stretch. It's tough, but it almost felt like since Foles went on that crazy run, since Foles played in the NFC Championship and the Super Bowl game, that was the best quarterbacked game in an Eagles uniform. Maybe since then. It's tough because obviously there were a couple different runs in between, but that game just felt special last night. It really did. But you are right. Listen, man, we spent 18 minutes hyping up Jalen Hurts in this offense, and deservingly so, but we need to spend the rest of this time talking about Jonathan Gannon and this defensive unit and Darius Slay specifically, because my God, did they step up to the task last night. 7 points. Man, we were sitting here like, man, they might have to win 38-35. What did they win? But the defense looks ugly. Scotty, everything we talked about throughout the week this week, whether it was getting pressure on Cousins now, and let's not act like the pressure was outstanding and they got to him every play, but there was enough pressure to disrupt his timing, to make him uncomfortable. When he was under pressure, his numbers were god-awful last night. So the pressure with the front four specifically, it got there enough. I'd like to see it a little more, but it got there enough. Locking down Justin Jefferson. Forget slowing down. Scott, you can use the word locked up. Max security, whatever you want to call it. Justin Jefferson got locked up by Darius Slay in this Eagles defense last night. They turned Kirk Cousins over 3 times, and then the rushing unit where like, Dalvin Cook and Alexander Madison might gash this team, and then it'll open up the pass. And no, I think Dalvin Cook maybe touched the ball 7 times last night for like 15, 16 yards. Alexander Madison maybe got 2 carries for like 9 yards. Or less. They were absolutely
was their leading
amazing
rusher
last night. And now don't get me wrong, the fact that the offense was able to get up 14-0 alleviates some of the pressure on the run defense. Minnesota basically threw the run out the window in the first half, which I thought was idiotic. You weren't out of the game yet. Why just go pass? But they did, and the Eagles were able to lock it up. So I'll say this. Jalen Hurts just had the best game of his career in an Eagles uniform. In my lifetime, Darius Slay just had the best game a defensive back has ever had in an Eagles uniform. Ever. Thoughts?
I mean, it's tough to say. I mean, Brian Dawkins, you know what I mean?
No. But hold on. No.
You mean
I
TB?
feel you, but that's such like B-Dog was just
different.
he was the name, and he's a safety, and there were big hits. Slay took on the task of following around a top 3 to 5 wide receiver in this league, who we all assumed was going to go for over 100. Scotty, not only did he not go for 100, Darius Slay was targeted 6 times when guarding Justin Jefferson, allowed 1 catch, and picked off Kirk Cousins 2 times in those 6 targets. and aside from the interceptions, he could have had 2 more. He had about 3 other pass breakups. Like, it, in terms of what the assignment was, the expectation of the assignment, and what he was able to outcome with 2 turnovers, it was better than anything I've seen. I mean, listen, I'm not discrediting
some great performance. I do agree with you. It's up there. I don't.
Well, you'd have to go back, find me a specific
yeah.
performance. That's my point.
Yeah.
That I can
like
remember.
Lito Shepherd against the Cowboys, like
right, but
returning
think about
into
that's
the
what,
you know what I mean.
Think about what
I know
that's
what
saying.
you mean. Pure
think
domination.
About what that's saying. Right. Okay, sorry. Was this the best game Eagles defensive back has had since 2005? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I feel you.
It's been a long freaking time.
It was beautiful, and to the Slay haters, because there's a lot of them out there for some reason. I don't get it. He's one of the.
I was going to quote tweet
in
something
NFL.
and at you last night, and just
top
be like,
five.
no, top 5. Yeah.
Slay is top 5. We just watched Jair Alexander get cooked by the Minnesota Vikings. He was lost against the Minnesota Vikings. And there's people out here calling him top 5 over Slay. No. Slay is top 5. He just went up against the best receiver in the NFL so far this season. Maybe not anymore now, but first week of the NFL, he was the best receiver in the NFL. He had the most yards. He had 2 touchdowns. And Slay stepped up to the plate. I mean, the defense in general, man, it was beautiful. And I know you talked about like the QB pressure. And it did get to the point, and it was because of what the offense was able to do. The offense and the defense did favors for each other all night. It was a beautiful thing. But the reason it just looks so great at the end is because it did start getting messy. Kirk Cousins just started getting rocked
2 picks in the red zone.
Play. Yeah, exactly. We're getting pressure. And I think these guys just got to pin their ears back and go downhill. I think it got to that point in the game. And that is where the Eagles, we're going to see them play their best football defensively when they don't have to worry about the run. They eliminated that early, and then they got to pin their ears back and rush Kirk Cousins. And we saw what that did. But, I mean, seven QB hits last night, 2 sacks. You want to see more. It's a start. But 11 pass deflections. That shows you what this defense was on. They were all over the field. They were all over these Vikings players, not only in their face while they catch the ball, they're deflecting the pass out of their hands. A lot of those passes didn't even get to the receiver's hands, and that's what you call strap defense. TJ Edwards, shout out to TJ Edwards, man. He was making some plays out there. That specific one, I believe, is on 3rd down in coverage against Irv Smith in the middle of the field by himself. Deflection. Yeah. I mean, that's what TJ Edwards is supposed to struggle at. Looked good last night. Man, I can't.
It was a clinic.
So
it was a defensive clinic, and let me say this: as we can hype up Slay, and deservingly so. We can hype up the defensive line, deservingly so. You have to give credit where credit's due, and it's for as much slander and for as much negativity we put on Jonathan Gannon, and as much responsibility as we put on him for last week's performance. You have to give him all the credit in the world for his game plan and execution defensively last night. Anything you possibly could have been threatened by Minnesota was a non-factor last night. We already talked about the rushing attack. Non-factor. Justin Jefferson, 5 catches for like under 55 yards. Non-factor. Adam Thielen, one of the best number 2s in the league, who is a guy that would just prototypically give the Eagles kind of fits. What do you have? 2-3 catches in garbage time last night? KJ Osborne had 1 or 2 catches. Like, nothing, like, any threat you had was eliminated from the opening drive. They were that dialed in last night. And also kudos to Jonathan Gannon for allowing, what did we talk about? Pregame, you mentioned it. You think Darius Slay, who is as confident as he is, thinks he's a top 5 guy, doesn't want the responsibility of following around Justin Jefferson? Of course he does. Put him in that situation. Jonathan Gannon did just that. But you mentioned it. That's why you went out and got James Bradbury. James Bradbury was locked down on the other side of the field as well.
There was nowhere to go.
Everybody played well. If I have one more thing, if I have one slightly negative thing to say, it'll be the bottom point of this. Jonathan Gannon, if you're listening, please do me a favor. I don't need to see Hassan Reddick drop back in coverage anymore.
Please.
I don't need to see it. Bro, he was lined up against Justin Jefferson in the slot one play. I don't need to see it anymore, man. Let him do what he was brought here to do. Put him on the edge of the line, move him around, and let him pin his ears back and try to get after the quarterback. Because as you saw last night, even if he doesn't get home with a sack, he's moving the quarterback's eyes, moving his feet, moving the lineman into him, crashing down the pocket, and it's affecting throws and decision-making by the opposing team. So let him do what he was paid to do here.
Exactly. That's the next evolution. I would agree. I think if there is one negative, not even a negative, it just a thing.
No, it's just like it. I think it happened 2 times that stood out, and I was like, man, I don't need to see it anymore. Like
we need to see some Reddick action in the backfield. That's what I want to see now. That's the next evolution to seeing this defense purely dominate. Is that next level pass rusher? We still haven't seen that part of it yet. It was a great team, type of QB pressure in last night. Sweat did have quite a few good plays. He did have that stupid sack where he grabbed him in the face mask.
Yeah. I was pissed about
that. How about Avonte Maddox as well? Give him some credit, man. I always it's not that I doubt. Well, I think it is that I doubt him. It's like, don't put Avonte Maddox on Justin Jefferson. My man was holding his own, whoever he was guarding last night. Came out the gates and popped Justin Jefferson. That shit had me fired up.
Yeah.
I think it was only like a 5 or 6 yard catch for Justin Jefferson, and Avonte Maddox just comes in like a speeding train and just rocks him. I mean, it was fun. They came out with the energy, man. They were confident. And, it stems back to that Jalen Hurts kind of, the speech he gave after week 1 against Detroit. These guys aren't settling. Even after last night.
He said it last night, Left a lot on the table.
We still got a lot to do here. We didn't score in the second half. You know what I mean? There's still a lot of food left on the table, according to Jalen Hurts, and it's crazy when they're operating with that type of mindset because they just purely dominated a team that people were saying, sleeper Super Bowl contenders or win the NFC North, take over.
Should we just book our flight now in our hotel? Should we just get it now? Because here's one thing I want to give credit to one more part of this game, man.
Yeah,
the crowd.
Yeah,
the crowd. That energy last night, and yes, part of the crowd was Mr. James Harden, was Mr. Bryce Harper, Bryson Stott from the Phillies. A bunch of Phillies were there. Bradley Cooper, a bunch of actors and actresses were there. That crowd was unbelievable. And obviously,
what type of season this is.
Yeah, and obviously you see Slay go up and give Harden the first pick, and then he signs it for him in the tunnel afterwards. But if you're James Harden, you're getting newly accustomed to this city, right? Like you experienced playoff basketball, but you were here for a hot second at the end of last year, right? Travis Kelce, exactly, bro. With
that was so dope, bro.
Yeah,
he was
dude,
in there
awesome.
Drinking a Michelob Ultra.
Yeah. Those two are awesome, man. But like, if you're James Harden, if you're Bryce Harper, for God's sake, trying to lock up a playoff spot, and you're looking around like, oh man, like look at this place. Yeah, like you have to be craving that feeling and that energy and that emotion. So it was absolutely awesome. Scotty, it is 9. I don't know if you have to bounce.
I can hang around for like 5 more minutes.
Yeah, we'll go 5 more and then we'll wrap up. We'll wrap this up. But let's just kind of get into what does this mean, right? So the Eagles start 2-0. They're one of like 5 teams to start 2-0. The New York Giants are 2-0. So we're not going to sit here and put too much stock into the start to this season. And actually, in recent history, the Eagles have had more playoff success after starting 1-1 than they have 2-0. But with that being said, 2-0 feels a hell of a lot better, especially in that type of win. What did last night's win? What does the start to this season have you feeling? I don't know how I want to word this, but not just feeling like, what are your have your expectations through maybe risen a little bit
Yeah.
because of how it started.
Yeah, I think so, and I think the word I would use is, and this is just for me. I won't say it about the Eagles themselves, but I think I'm getting like overly confident, right? And I think that game was just like a
Yo,
little
I'm with
that
you.
that had me over the top, right? Like that was not what I was expecting. I said 31-21. I
Yeah.
gave the Vikings some points, and they completely shut them down. I look at our schedule upcoming, like. Yes, I'm not gonna say that these teams are, not good teams. Like the Commanders are gonna be a thorn. They're gonna be a tough
Right.
matchup, I would imagine. They're
On the
they're gonna be
road.
tougher than the Vikings. I would imagine that game's gonna be much tougher. The Jags after that, the Cards, the Cowboys. These are all beatable teams, man. Like these are arguably, I say the Commanders are gonna be a tougher game than the Vikings, but they're not a better team than the Vikings. Like I
Agreed.
look at our upcoming schedule and I'm like, well, if we can beat the Vikings, we can beat any of these teams that are in our way. Like, and that's what I mean by overly confident. You can't come out next week and then lay an egg against the Commanders, right? You got to
Agreed.
come out, show that your head's still moving forward. You're not stuck on
Right.
last week, the big primetime game. You got to go out there and do work against the Commanders. But my expectations have risen quite a bit. Now, there's going to be eggs throughout the season. You're going to lay an egg here or there, but
Right.
maybe not if they're really good teams. Really good teams don't do that. What's the ceiling for wins on this team? And I hate to talk about this week too in such a high positive light because they're 2-0. But the way they've won, I mean, week 2, that is one of the most dominating wins I think this season
Across the
so far.
league. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
I mean,
it was
obviously
pure
it,
domination.
it sucked there had to be another Monday night game on that was a little bit more
A
dominant.
lot more.
Uh,
That's fair.
but
They were dominating too.
like nonetheless, the Eagles were dominant. And you have people. I'm just scrolling through social media in the fourth quarter and after the game last night, and it's like, man, like the energy all across the board is sky high. It's not just here in Philly, and I hope that people don't bring bad juju here to Philly and jinx it a little early. But there's a lot of positivity and a lot of hype surrounding this Eagles team right now, man. And to me, it's real.
It's
It's
real, man.
valid. This isn't the Carson Wentz rookie 2016 year when they start 3-0 and you still didn't buy. You knew what the team was when they started 3-0,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
We knew how talented this team is heading into this year. Just needed to see it. And when you
yeah,
see that performance last night, it makes you like, it's like, okay, I can't temper these expectations and I
yeah,
can't temper these emotions right now because all my eyes are like again, you just said it. If you can do that against the Vikings, offensively and defensively, you put on a clinic on both sides of the ball. What can they do against a Washington Commanders team? Against,
yeah,
I know the New York Giants are 2-0, but against the New York Giants, at home against the Jacksonville Jaguars team. Well, like what against Cooper Rush, right at home? Like what can they do against these
yeah.
teams? So I'm incredibly excited moving forward. I need Sunday to get
Likewise,
here, man.
man.
Like that's how
I need it, man. I
I
need
need
more.
this weekend to get here, dude. Like that's how much this team has going for themselves right now. So I agree with you. Is it fair? Probably not. We're 2 weeks in. Is it right now? But expectations are risen at least a little bit for the time being
Yeah,
because of the start, because of the type of win.
yeah,
And they've checked a lot of boxes so far. Jalen
yeah,
Hurts checked a lot of boxes. Jonathan Gannon checked boxes last night.
yeah,
Darius Slay. Listen, like what do you have? Like that's my thing. Final thing before you wrap up here.
yeah,
What can, like, again, it's only one game. I'm not saying that like Darius Slay could end up getting beat up by Terry McLaurin next week. But my point is, if Darius Slay can put up that kind of performance against Justin Jefferson, who should we theoretically be like scared of going forward?
yeah.
Like if
I
they
mean,
play a top wide, when they play
fair
a CeeDee
question.
Lamb, when they play Terry McLaurin, who are you afraid of heading into the matchup? Not that these guys can't get the best of Darius Slay. Of course they can. This doesn't mean Darius Slay is gonna allow one completion for 6 yards every week of the season. It's hard to play cornerback in
Yeah,
the NFL,
yeah,
but that last night's performance should instill a lot of confidence in you against anybody if he can do it at that high a level against the highest of talents in Justin Jefferson.
I think Honestly, I think it's more or less it's going to be more about the quarterback at this point. If the quarterback can make good decisions against our defense, like I think that is the level that we're
Mhm.
reaching. That we saw last night. Kirk Cousins, he fell apart when he couldn't go to Justin Jefferson, and I think when you talk about what type of teams would scare you, maybe Aaron Rodgers down the road once he gets comfortable with his guys, has the run game flowing. Maybe just because he's a great quarterback. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes, the Josh Allens of the world, but we're talking about Super Bowl contenders at this point. So when you talk about the road in front of you, man, the goal is just you got to, one, obviously stay healthy, but they just got to remain hungry, and I think they will do that. You talked about the defense; they answered all the calls last night. Got to keep that going. We talked about it earlier. Hassan Reddick, maybe that's the next piece. That's the piece we brought in the offseason as well. We want to see him, kind of recalibrate and contribute
Yep.
to this in a more effective way. So there's still evolutions to the offense and defense that we have
Oh,
to
it's not a finished
achieve.
product by any
It's
stretch.
not, but it was beautiful last night to see an unfinished product that looked like that.
I agree,
So
man.
yeah, they brought in all these pieces in the offseason, and we hyped it up in the offseason. We hyped it up as we started this season, and it's paying off, man. It feels good to have confidence in my
It
team and it
does.
not be false confidence.
Yeah.
I'll be quite honest with you. A lot of times last season in those big moments, I think that's
Right.
the big change here
They
as
beat
well.
the Giants, and it's like,
A
oh,
prime time
yeah,
game. This is
yeah,
a prime time game, a game that they
against a
weren't
good team.
favored by everybody in. It was against a good team that dogged the Packers the last weekend. They showed up and they not only beat them, they dominated them. And I think that's the difference from last year is in those bigger games, you got to the Chiefs or the Chargers last year, or you'd get to the Bucks and the Raiders, and they would lay an egg, right? In
Yeah.
Dallas in prime time, laid an egg. Jalen Hurts looked like a deer in headlights. Not this season, not so far. And that's beautiful to see. You just want to see him keep it up, man.
Yeah, man. It is the best quarterback that they've beaten so far. It is the best overall team that Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni, Jonathan Gannon have beaten
Yeah,
so far. And like you said, not just beaten, dominated. Man, Dallas Goddard and Devontae Smith and AJ Brown haven't even found the end zone yet.
bro.
Like, think about that. These the top three targets, the top three skill position guys have not scored a touchdown through the first 2 weeks of the season yet.
Yeah.
So there's a lot more to come, a lot more excitement, a lot more energy to come from this offense and from this team. So I'm excited. We're gonna wrap up this trending in the AM a little short here because I don't feel like crushing my mood by talking about the Phillies this morning. Not a lot going on in Sixers land outside of Hackgate. Apparently, the horny police caught Doc Rivers late night, but apparently he got hacked. So, I mean, we could talk about that tomorrow, maybe.
Sure.
But sure, yeah, Doc. Okay, sure, Doc. But yeah, man, I'm flying high. It felt better. Like going to sleep was a lot smoother last night. Waking up, you feel just happy. You feel rejuvenated. It's crazy how
Definitely, man.
teams in the city, but specifically this Eagles team, can change your mood
Yeah.
from a day-to-day basis and just
I
kind of
swear.
your routine. It's
I
it's
could I
very
could
odd.
feel the energy from the link like last night. I was just in my living room. You could feel it like in the city of
It's
Philadelphia and the
something special,
surrounding
man.
areas.
I
It's special,
agree.
man.
I agree. And I know it's the home opener. It's Monday Night Football. Like it was different. And it was star-studded, but it just feels like the Link's going to be
Yeah.
rocking all season
And
long. I know myself. I
they're
don't
gonna
know if
take
you're
over
planning on
DC
it.
next weekend too.
Yeah, I don't know if you're planning on it. I'll be at the next home game. I'll be at the game against Jacksonville. So Scotty might have to cop some tickets. We
Yeah,
might have
let's
to
try
get
it,
down there
man.
and do the thing together. But it'll be very exciting nonetheless, guys. That is going to wrap up this episode of Trending in the AM live here on DSM Media's Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook channel. If you're new to the channel, head on over to @DSM_media on Twitter. Hit that follow button while you're on the page. Click the link tree in our bio to take you to every platform we are on. Check us out on IG, TikTok, Facebook, Twitch, whatever you got. We do have a new Eagles graphic hitting the T Public site semi soon, so be on the lookout for that. We'll post that on our Twitter page as well. For myself, you can find me on Twitter @DylanJD98. Check out my man Scotty on Twitter @ScottyDrown. Have a great rest of your Tuesday, guys. Go
Awesome.
Birds.
Go Birds.